reaches of space, like a pinpoint at infinity, there once was a tiny blue star. Spanning the billions of miles that separated this star from the Earth, we discovered that it was in reality a planet like our own. This was the ill-fated planet Krypton, which revolved about the brilliant sun of its own solar system, while satellites like ringed moons in turn revolved about it.
Well, hello, and welcome to Stop Let's Team Up. We're going to do something that I have not done, and I don't, or at least on this podcast, review a movie. We talked about a movie, but we didn't review a movie. I'm joined with Brent and Kirby again. Say hello, gentlemen. And
hey
we're
guys,
going to talk.
How are you?
Hello.
All right, everybody. All right. We're gonna talk about what we all thought about the new Superman movie. The one, I guess it's just called Superman. Doesn't, or you're gonna add the year 2025.
I think it's definitely Let's Team Up. Like I think it fits into Let's Team Up.
Yeah, it does. It's got a lot of.
There's a truckload of characters in this movie.
Yeah, there are a lot. You know, I don't know. Does it break my rule of too many villains, too many heroes? I don't know. I'll have to think about it.
I've got thoughts on that in the positive. So,
all right. Well, Brent gave us a tool, and I think we'll use it. But I don't know if we're going to go. I'm going to save the ratings until the end instead at the beginning. But let me pull up my notepad. Hold on. I did.
Oh man, I wrote down all of my notes at work because it was kind of a slow day. Totally left them right on my desk. I was so ticked.
Yeah, I did.
I'm like, God.
I'm going to pull up notepad.
Anyway,
so
I want to hear you guys bounce off my ideas, and I want to be able to bounce off yours.
No,
so
that's
I think
good. That's good.
Yeah.
Like,
all I know is I left some zingers right on my keyboard.
All right. So your first one, we're going to save the rating to the end, but the first one is thoughts on movie as a whole. How did it leave you? And during. Okay.
Yeah.
So
what I was kind of feeling here. Yeah, go Ross.
Let me.
I think the thing here for me was afterwards and during. How did you feel after the movie, and how did you feel during the movie?
Yeah, I like that. So I'll start. I was looking forward to it. So I went in with very high hopes and positive vibes. I really have disliked, not hated, but just not enjoyed a Superman movie since Superman 2. And I think that's a flawed movie. I loved it. I went into it. I liked the beginning. I like that they said that my biggest plus on this of all the others is they didn't do the origin.
Yep.
I don't need to see it. No one needs to see it. It takes up 30 minutes of your movie, and most of the time they fuck it up. Even in the good ones. I think because one of my big things in this movie are Mom and Pa Kent. Because they're too pretty in some of them. They're retired movie stars in Superman. It's like, oh, it's Glenn Ford. To me, it was like, oh, it's Glenn Ford. But I liked it and I enjoyed the ride. It was fun. It looked like a comic book. It was bright. It was doing what it was supposed to do, was to entertain you, make you go, ooh. I felt for the characters, all that during. I mean, just I stayed in it the whole time. As a 6-year-old, I missed part of in the first viewing. I couldn't, my 6-year-old bladder said no. So I missed the part in the rescue, the jailbreak. So I saw that in the second one, but overall, I really love it. I've got some nits that I want to pick, but overall it did what I wanted it to do. It was a superhero movie that wasn't overdone. I don't think it was over. Marvel movies, I like them, but they're all trying to top the last one. So they're diminishing returns because they're trying to parrot what's happened before instead of make a separate movie. But overall, I really loved it. And I liked it. And when I left, I started to see things that I weren't 100% behind, but I also thought of things that I thought were perfect. And I wish they had been done in other Superman movies. So if that makes sense.
Yep. Okay, Brent, you want to go first or go next or me?
Okay, well, yeah, maybe I should go first. I guess I have a slightly different viewpoint. I guess, look, I went in thinking this movie was a really important movie. And I think, you know, we're moving on from the Snyderverse, and we're doing a bit of a reset. And like, as a DC Comics fan, we've seen reboots before, so I'm okay with that concept. But I also sort of, this is a launch movie, right? This is launching a whole new DC universe. So one of my concerns, I guess, even going in, was, is this going to be the vehicle to launch the new DC franchise? And I guess I had some concerns going in, seeing the sort of focus on the Justice League International type characters, and I was kind of like, oh, there's so many characters. Is anyone getting enough screen time? So I kind of went in a bit like that. And I think I agree with Ross. I think skipping the origin was a really good idea. I think they gave enough in the intro text to just sort of land you in a sort of present day metropolis without the whole backstory. And that included actually the backstory of the Kents, I would say. Like, really, we get a pretty light version of Jonathan and Martha. And most of that actually comes from the scene right at the end of the movie, actually. Look, I think, how did I feel during? I felt it was busy. I thought it didn't let up in the whole movie. I thought it was just go, go, go the whole time. There were a few down moments with Lois and Clark, I guess, and Superman. How did I leave feeling? I kind of left feeling that I don't know that I want to see more of this universe, which is kind of sad to say, because I was really hoping that I would leave excited about what's coming next. And look, the one thing I was excited about was the post-credits scene, because I absolutely love that actress. She's an Australian actress and she's brilliant, and she's going to be an amazing Supergirl. And I think she'll do this Superwoman of Tomorrow stuff really well. I think she's really set up for that. Again, though, I'm not sure that, and I think I made this comment to Kirby off air, that launching a drunk Supergirl as the icon of a female superhero that's launching, young girls into the new DC universe, I'm not sure it's the right vibe. We've got this kind Superman, fantastic. I guess you can have a redemption arc, but as a parent, are you going to line your child up to take them to see that movie? I'm not sure. Not sure.
I don't know if they're doing that down for young people. I don't, that story,
No, it's not called Superwoman. She's actually called Supergirl.
Yeah.
And, if it was called Superwoman, fine. Put her as an adult. It's Wonder Woman. It's not Wonder Girl. I think she is a character designed for girls. And she certainly originally was designed for girls.
Yeah.
As an entry into the DC stuff. Yeah,
well, I just mean that specific text, that Tom King story, because it is not.
But this is part of the whole thing, is we've got, I guess for me, my concern is that Gunn is choosing some properties that, as a DC Comics fan, I really enjoyed. I haven't actually read Superwoman of Tomorrow, but, I really enjoyed some of the other things he's pointing to. I don't know that it's that accessible to everybody else. I think this Superman story was accessible. I think I would certainly say the movie was accessible. I think he gave enough of some of the other characters. Probably when we get to the Daily Planet stuff, I'll have a few more opinions on that. But I think we got enough of the Justice. I hate that, the Justice gang. But yeah, it's So overall, I wasn't super excited about going to see another one. Look, I will. Like, I'm such a fanboy that I will go and see them. But I didn't leave the movie feeling I want more of this. What about you, Kirby?
Okay, so I went in very cautiously optimistic. You know what? I'm just gonna skip kind of to the end. This is the first time I've walked out of a theater in my lifetime having thoroughly enjoyed a Superman movie. And this is also the first movie I have seen more than once in theaters since the very first Harry Potter movie. So I think that definitely says something. I do see, and I have seen the complaint of like there is a lot going on, but I feel like you're given enough context. The story actually flows to me at a pretty like solid pace, because it does know when to kind of ease off the gas when you need to. There are the slow moments. There are the moments where you can kind of catch your breath. It does. I think it gets kind of every character like at their core Right. And with the Justice Gang, this is something I was kind of thinking about is I'm glad we have them because otherwise with the script all being the same, this would have just been filled with like, oh, here's Star Labs Emil Hamilton, and I would rather kick that character into a black hole if I could. Not to steal something from the movie. But again, I just thoroughly loved it. The cast, everything like this. I'm glad that there weren't just constant needle drops. They like the one or two that were there, I think were well placed. I think the score was really well. I think for all of the world building, I was trying to think is this throwing too much or is this pretty much like the same that there is in say Blade Runner or in A New Hope? And I think the answer is yeah, I think it's a lot closer to that in that regard, and to where it's like I love this cast. I think everyone does exactly what they need. With now, do I of course have like some nitpick? Oh, sure, yeah, but I have that with every film. I mean, well, except maybe Jaws, which I actually got a trailer in front of both times I saw it. So,
Yeah.
but other than that, yeah, no. So I guess I'm kind of firmly in the love, and I was like, I even teared up once or twice during the film, which I was not expecting to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I've thought a bit since like Kirby and I started this conversation, Ross, probably 2 weeks ago now, and or whenever the movie came out. And I think I've probably shifted a bit. Like that's probably like when I talk about that, it's how I felt on the day. I think listening to other people's views since, I've probably shifted a bit more to appreciating things about the movie and some of the decisions that Gunn's made. I probably have a bit more perspective. I will also see it again, Kirby, because I'm quite keen to see it in IMAX. I think it warrants a rewatch for me and to look for some of the things other people have talked about on that rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
And I am keen to see it on IMAX. I think it's going to be really cool. We don't have any of what's the other version called? We don't have those theaters here in Australia.
4D, whatever that scam is.
Well,
It's
yeah,
some
they're doing it at the
wraparound,
local
some
one.
sort of wraparound.
Oh,
okay.
no. They have this new like low rent IMAX that they have bigger screens, and we have one at the where we saw it. We had to see it on that the second time because we went twice, and my wife was really wanting to go see it a third time. She really loved it. She really loved it, and she the day before she had watched the Brandon Routh Superman, and she kept texting me, "It's shit."
Oh, that's such a boring movie.
Oh, she was like, and that's all she could talk about at points. But how much? I mean, what have you shifted on? What parts of it? Anything in particular?
Oh, look, I think like I listened to it was interesting. I listened to Mark Waid talking about the film. He was at the premiere in Hollywood, and he loved it. He absolutely loved the film. He only had one criticism.
There you go.
Hopefully, keep happening. I'm just going to check. Just let me check something because the internet's a bit unstable. Hang on.
Yep. So just to kind of fill in real quick. Yeah. Just I think from the costuming design aspect, I think in like the design in everything, I think it got a lot of things like I'm surprised we got a pitch perfect Mr. Terrific costume. I'm saying just the costume.
Yeah. So the last thing we really heard clearly was you're talking that Wade was there, and then you went out.
Yeah, I'll go back to that. So yeah, Mark Waid was at the Hollywood premiere, and he loved the film. Like he only really had one critique, which was I guess the portrayal of Superman's Kryptonian parents. And he really didn't like the stance that they took of him sort of being a world invader. And, you know, Wade did say it sort of made sense in terms of the original title of the movie being Superman Legacy. And he could see where that title came from. He just didn't think it was, you know, the Superman that he knew. It was probably the one thing he really disagreed with in the movie. I think, you know, what you've said about world building as well, Kirby, I've thought a bit about that. I think, yeah, and I really like the analogy of thinking about it like Star Wars and just sort of thinking, you know, look at what they throw in there and, you know, look at, I've loved Andor, for example, that TV series, which was just a few throwaway lines in the the movie
Yeah.
and picked up and spun out a whole other world out of that couple of lines in that movie. So I think, I think being a bit more objective about it, I can sort of, I think, and look, the pace is okay. It's also got I'm very clear as well that I'm watching this as a guy who was 9 years old when he saw the 1978 Christopher Reeve movie. And, it was so exciting to see that at the time. And, you believe a man can fly, that kind of stuff. And, I'm watching this as someone older, but also thinking this movie isn't necessarily for me, right? I know way too much about Superman. Of course, I'm going to have some critiques. I've read hundreds and hundreds of Superman comics. I've watched multiple TV versions. So, I've got too much perspective, I think is part of my problem with this movie.
You have too many Supermans in your head. That's kind of when I'm looking at them. It's which Superman am I going to see? It's like I get what Wade's friend is saying, but someone asked me, "What did you think of the change in Jor-El and Laura?" And I said, "I don't give a shit." I mean, I just don't. Because I've liked the different ones. I kind of like what Byrne did, made them very just kind of sterile.
Yeah.
I thought but I don't mind the ones that we missed. We are sending our son because I love him. It's just not the most important part of their origin. I like a Superman story on Earth always 10 times more than I like one where he's hanging out with other Kryptonians.
Yeah.
So for me, in a way, that was good because the Superman I'm interested in is Clark Kent, not Kal-El. Kal-El. I don't care about, you know what I mean? That's all that whenever he's written that way is when I like it. When he becomes too alien and stuff, I kind of drift off.
Yeah.
So I like that. I kind of like that part.
Sorry, Ross, I really didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm kind of in the same boat because like Jor-El and Laura, to me, they're not characters. They never really and I mean, yes, I know they have been, but again, even when I'm going through old Bronze Age, whenever it's giving me a lot of focus on Jor-El and all that, I kind of don't care. And I'm always kind of, I don't know, disturbed maybe is when Clark Kal-El puts too much focus on them rather than, Ma and Pa Kent, who are the ones who really did raise him, who gave him that perspective. Because, like, you can screw up Jor-El and Laura, that's fine. Pa Kent is a character and Ma Kent are characters like Ben Grimm. You have to kind of get them right to kind of feel how your Superman is going to be.
Yeah.
And I think, I have seen the thing of like Ma and Pa are a little too broad. I actually kind of don't. I'm like, I can see where people are coming from, but like to me, it's like no, they fit. They look the most realistic of like Kansas farmers.
That's what a Kansas farmer look like.
Yeah.
They're not normally really buff people. They're they're kind of chunky people.
Yeah.
But let's go to the next one because we're jumping ahead a little bit. I think let's talk about corn. Is it actually pronounced corn sweet?
I have no idea. I did like what Mark Waid said about his initials, that they are DC. That's kind of cool.
I do like that.
Yep.
So do we like him what do we think of him as Clark and as Superman? And I'll just go because I'm just going to say I liked it a lot. I felt he did what Reeve did. He understood that whole scene in the crowd is him going, "Yes, thank you, Christopher. I understand. This is how you play Clark Kent." So I think giving him that little getting through the crowd into the Daily Planet was definitely a wink to Christopher Reeves. I liked him. And I like that when he's in the Superman suit, he's still Clark. He is not. People refer to him as Superman. And especially when he's being interviewed by and I like that they're already a couple. Thank Jesus. I don't want to watch that uncomfortable courtship again. But
we're not going to get any Lana Lang lasting after Clark stories though, Ross.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, thank God.
But no, I think it's one character. He really makes it one person.
Yep.
Because when he talks to the ant monster, eyes up here, that's Clark.
Yeah.
That's what Clark would say. And since, nobody else knows he's Clark except for the Justice Gang and Lois, or from what we know,
Well,
But I just like that. I liked it. I think he really did it. He got it. And I like that we got to see he did the weak Superman when he finds out his that message is crap. That moment of self-doubt, you know, I think he really hits it. And the anger, the restrained anger of not killing Lex. I just liked it, every bit of it. I'll let you guys talk.
I would say, look, I think he's great. This is one thing I really liked about the movie. I think he's really well cast. I think his humanity is what came across. I'm not a huge fan of the weakened Superman as the opening scene of the movie, because and kind of my reason for that is this movie was originally sold as the Legacy, with the Legacy name, and it was kind of like he was going to be mentoring these younger heroes, which was kind of the justification for this Justice League being there. We didn't see that at all. And I think that's one of the things that was kind of a bit jarring for me, and maybe I'd read too much press before the movie. But I sort of thought having him appear weak initially was kind of like, we were told that he'd never lost a battle before, but we hadn't seen it. So it was probably more the writing of Superman in the movie I didn't love. In terms of David as an actor, fantastic. Like, I think he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. And, you know, you did care about him as a character and his relationships with the others. So, yeah, no, I think it was great. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not really going to change it. Like, here is, again, I think, so not to just kind of keep repeating, is what I like is that he's not the total milksop Clark Kent, nor is he like alpha 1986 Man of Steel, former football star. You know, he's kind of like in a nice middle ground, which is kind of how I like Clark in my head. Where, yeah, this is a Clark who is gonna, you know, stop to save a squirrel and all of that, which I'm like, yep, yeah, no, that's exactly what I want. Please give me that. And it's like, I can see, and I think we're showing throughout the film, it's like, okay, I can see how this Clark is, or Superman 601 are inspiring others to be better than, you know, they have been, which I think really does help to the portrayal. And this is just a total minor thing while I'm thinking about it. I'm kind of glad we didn't give, oh, this symbol is in my family's crest or anything. I'm kind of glad we skipped that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been controversial.
Like
the symbol, there are people that love it and people that hate it. We all know where it's come from because we've been reading the comics. We know it's the Kingdom Come Superman symbol. But you know, I don't mind at all. They've all had different symbols. Like, if we look back at every version, every iteration of Superman, they've tweaked the symbol, and that's what makes it, you know, you recognize the version you're looking at. So I've got absolutely no problem with that. I really like the bright blue costume. I'm happy the trunks are back. I think they've made them look a bit more like shorts and less like underwear. So I think that was too. And, you know, there's been some stories about why that matters, and it kind of shows that he's a bit like us. He's a bit goofy. I think he comes off as a bit goofy.
It's nice. I got really tired of the mopey Superman. You know, I think, and not to bash Henry Cavill, but it's really a mopey version.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see and to be, and there's a genuineness to him.
And it's interesting you mentioned that, Ross, because Henry Cavill's Superman, it was very much about the death of Jonathan Kent and having to, you know, help him, which was a really powerful scene in that Snyder movie, I think. But I think it came at a cost that we ended up with this really dark, sort of brooding Superman. Whereas this one, they didn't go there. Like, they didn't go there with killing off Ma or Pa Kent. And like, there's lots of versions of Superman where one or the other of them has been, or both, been killed off.
Yeah.
I think that grounded him a bit more in his humanity. And, you know, his angst was more about losing his original parents in lots of ways, which is true for many people who've been
adopted kids. I like, you know, there is that thing of all adopted kids want to see their birth parent as these, you know, they're hoping for the best. What is my birth parent like? and he's got this message. So I like that he latches onto it. I really do. You ready to move to Lois?
Yep.
Who wants to go first?
I'll start. So yeah, no, I really like this Lois Lane. One thing that I think helps cement is in that scene with her and Clark, in her apartment, where it's like, if I close my eyes and listen, and like, okay, imagine Dana Delaney delivering these same lines, it works, and I think that's, totally in the script, totally in the acting of both of them. I like that she wasn't afraid to call Clark on his crap. But at the same time, she has her own doubts, and I like a lot of the scenes with, I really liked her as a character. Even more, but I am glad we got this movie in like 2 hours 10. One of my favorite things is when she takes Clark to the Kent farm, and she's standing in his childhood room. She goes like, "Oh, okay." Like it's a moment everyone kind of has, is like, "Oh, this person's even realer than I thought," and I just really kind of like that.
When you see someone's their high school room, you get that little snapshot. I do like that scene.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go on. I have always liked her. I mean, I like her, and every time I see her, she was great. And oh my God, I can't.
Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Yes, my father loved Jewish comedian. He grew up in New York in a Jewish neighborhood. So we listened to Shecky Green, all of them. I've heard her voice all my life, and it was wonderful. She's great. She is good. And I was like going, I was a little concerned throughout the movie. At some point, I was like, is Lois not going to have enough to do? And I think the two scenes in each other's apartment, because I like that they've had a fight, they may be breaking up, and when she finds him after his world is falling apart, she doesn't, she's just checking on her boyfriend. That moment is just between two people who care about each other. I liked it. I like that, and I like that they teamed her up with a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
She's not out trying to solve Lex's she solves Lex's mystery, you know what I mean, which is Lois's job in the story, but she gets to do some badass shit like fly the T-sphere, hang out with I really like that. Give Guy Gardner shit.
Yep.
I really enjoyed her a lot and them a lot. Could they have given Lois more? Yeah, but I kind of, she at least had she got to be part of the action, and I like that.
Yeah, I think she had some really good scenes. I think you're hitting on something there, Ross, though, that's one of my overall complaints. A bit more. I love the scene in her apartment. I think that was really good. Lois, investigative journalist, not backing off. Like, we've got a TV show here in Australia where they interview politicians, and I think, I could see her as the lead interviewer on that show. Like, she would really give the politicians a really hard time, and it felt great. I loved the contrast with Clark in that scene, though, of like, I'm just trying to help. These people were being invaded. I was just trying to help. And like, it really was a great foil for him and really showed his humanity and his character. And, he's just a big Boy Scout. We all know that, right? He's just trying to do the right thing. And so I think she was really good in that sense. There were some other scenes where, like, some of the romance scenes didn't really sell me so much about their romance. I think she was kind of like, and we all want to have a partner that can challenge us a bit and call us on our bullshit. I think she was portraying that really well. I didn't get the attraction, and part of it for me was, when she's kind of looking at him with Mara and Pa Kent, and I'm kind of like, it wasn't developed enough for there to be any reason for her to actually recognize what it was about Mara and Pa Kent that there was to like. So I feel like there were some things that didn't help her character. Like, yes, she gave that knowing look in that scene, but I'm kind of like, why? Why the knowing look? Like, there's nothing has been shown by the parents here to actually give her any reason to sort of go, these people are inspiring Clark Kent. And like, I've got a lot of criticisms about the Kents. I am not happy about the Kents in this movie.
My God. Then let's segue. Want to segue into there?
Yeah,
it's my favorite part. That is my favorite moment in the movie.
Yep.
See, what he says to Clark is something my father fucking said to me. I don't want. I want a father who cries that his son is hurt. I want to see. I really like that. I really hated every Mom Pa Kent in every movie. Maybe not with one but it was just because they put safe, recognizable stars in it. Well, for me, because I was a teenager when I saw it, but they're always overly this or overly that. They're never just two Kansas farm people who raise the son. They don't have to be extraordinary. They just have to be real.
I think
they look like real people. Were they a little overdone? The mob was pretty broad. Yeah. But I wanted to see real parents.
So. I like that. I just think that, for me, Superman got his values from those parents. And I don't think that was played up anywhere near enough in the movie. There was nothing. Yes, that scene, he said something, that was kind of moving, but I didn't get the sense that these were the two people who had great solid values that, this kid picked up in the Midwest and took to Metropolis. Do you know what I mean? And I just don't think it was unpacked enough. And I don't feel like their performances were strong enough to carry that. So, I totally hear what you're saying. And I know Gunn has said it as well, that he wanted a realistic portrayal of Midwestern farmers. And it could be all those things. And, clearly signs of poverty and things which are probably really realistic.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that before. We've seen beautiful white houses in cornfields and things in the past, or wheat fields. And, okay, not realistic, but I don't know. It was the values that were missing for me. It was just there was not enough plot or script around them to carry it, from my opinion. And so I didn't feel Lois got the best there either, because that wasn't developed. But we got hours of scenes of like special effects and people fighting and lots and lots of Justice Leaguers. And anyway, I just feel like those were the things that were missing from the movie, because we got all the action. And multiple battles. What about you, Kirby?
Yeah, so again, I'm kind of on Ross with. Again, Brent, I do not ever. When we were talking, I'm like, I gotta make sure this does not turn into a pile on Brent's curious, because
I'm okay having a different opinion.
No.
That's all right.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I wasn't, I am kind of with Ross on it, because it's like, I like that, again, it's not like, okay, they're a little embarrassing. I kind of like that, because that, to me, especially as, oh my God, and oh my God, I'm around Clark and Lois's age in this movie. That's going to take some minute to unpack. But it's like, okay, I think we're shown it kind of indirectly in that. I hate to kind of harp on a Man of Steel, but this is a difference through how Clark acts, as you can see the differences in their parenting, where this is, a very friendly, jovial guy compared to the more angst-ridden, where it's like, I don't know, the death of Pa Kent in Man of Steel bugs me for many reasons. One of which is, Kansas native, doesn't know how to act in a tornado. Okay. But yeah, no,
they're all out in the open during a tornado. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah,
but I like that. I like that moment. I like a sentimental moment. I like a heroic death that motivates. So I know why Schneider puts that in there. And you've got someone who can do it. You got Costner. I'm a big Kevin Costner fan, and it's a good moment. I get what you're saying, but for me, I want my sentimentality, and I want the Ernst. I just need to be. I like it in the little bursts for me, so that always works a little better. I don't want to see what they're thinking. I just want to hear what they believe. I just liked it. It was so for me, because I just liked that what he said and how they were just parents. It was. I don't ever think I believed in a lot of these movies that they were the parents of that person. And it came from the tactileness. It just came from how close that, the dad touching him and crying.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. And she calls him a mush. I kind of like that. They're two stereotypes for Midwestern farmers. The Aryan Uberman, who's all, solid muscle, crew cut, there's no dirt on him when he's a farmer. And then there's this guy who, works every day.
Yeah.
Hunched over, you know,
Mhm.
just, but so I get what you're saying, but I kind of just, that was my little thing. It was just, I like those little moments.
In the last
Yeah.
ending scene, that's one of the two moments where I actually kind of teared up because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
because again, and this is true for comics, and I said it before, I'll say it again. It's like I'm always mom and pa are, that's why he's the man and not just the
Yeah.
super.
Yeah.
And I think,
I was a
oh, Rob.
fan of when Byrne brought him back and said, why
Oh
did we
yeah,
have to have him dead? Because
100%.
I prefer them alive. One, and if you're 5 or 10 years into a run, kill one of them off, and they can, and you can bring them back.
I think I like them alive too, Ross. And to be honest, I agree that final scene, we got to see a whole lot of them, but it was not scripted. There were no words in that final scene. It was just images. And yeah, they're images of life and normal life and you're picking your kids up and celebrating Christmas and doing all those things. But it's like, I wanted it before the scene where he was hurt. Yeah. And I think for me, the scene where he was hurt had no gravitas because we were just dropped into the middle, and this is part of the whole problem with starting with him being defeated in the opening scenes of the movie. And I think, we didn't get to see the heroism of Superman nor the values of the Kents before they were tested. Do you know what I mean? Like they were tested before we got to see them. And I just think it was all a bit the wrong way around. So I love that end scene too. I think it's terrific. I just wanted it earlier in the movie, I think.
Yeah. I would have wished they gave him a better wig because it took a couple of times.
I was thinking that.
Dude, it looked like he had an old Beatles wig on at one point. It's like, you didn't do anything to de-age him. You just put a wig on him. Okay. We're going to go with that.
That's hilarious.
Let's
Should we jump to the next one?
Huh?
Should we jump to the next one? Because I think this is totally my favorite thing in the movie was Lex Luthor. So I want to be a bit positive for a minute. I think Lex was the best thing in the movie. Nicholas Hoult is an amazing actor. I have been following him since All About a Boy, and his portrayal in Skins is amazing. If you haven't watched the Skins TV series, I highly recommend it. It's a UK series. It's got some heavy hitting themes, and I think that's where he really cut his teeth as an actor. He is, I am going to say it, he is my favorite Lex Luthor in any medium so far. This is the best portrayal we've ever had of Lex. I think he just got all the nuance of it right. And I think that's why I love him as an actor. It's his ability to find the nuance. And, it was so, I don't know, Gunn got the script just right for the time. Like this movie is perfectly set in 2025 and it's perfectly set here because of Nicholas Hoult's Lex Luthor. I think everything about it, the whole plot lines around social media and misinformation, I just thought he carried that stuff so well. And
the million monkeys.
Testmarker did too, actually. Testmarker did too. I thought, she just added to that.
Oh my God. Yeah, well, I'll get to that because I have a lot to say about Jimmy.
Cool.
But I agree with you. My wife goes, what did you like about it? We were talking about it. I said, I like Lex. It's finally, he's a fucking bad guy. I like Gene Hackman's performance. It's comic book version. It's you know what I mean? It's a G movie Lex Luthor, and he's amazing. But he's a villain. He's in a poor, he's a bad guy. But he's a great boss. He's giving back rubs. You know what I mean? But it's none of this. I don't mind it when they grow up together, when they've grown up together or they've known each other. But I like the super villain businessman who's also the scientist. It works. Heck, there's a reason. It's another kind of, the Luthor trade that Byrne did, where they're the origin of Lex Luthor. It looks like the Trump book. It's made to design the cover designs. So there was the bad guy businessman, and I liked it. And he was amazing. He was amazing because he could go from very calm and normal. It was just, he was the best Luthor.
He was the
It-
glue in this movie. He held the whole thing together.
Yeah. Oh no, if
all the
he,
way through.
yeah.
yep.
They made
So
a good casting decision, not putting him as Clark and putting him as
Oh
Lex.
no, he'd have been.
What a good casting decision.
okay, so can I just okay? So one of my favorite bits of trivia is like I had heard that they auditioned for Clark, became Luthor. The same is true for my favorite Lex Luthor, Clancy Brown, where he auditioned for Clark for the cartoon and became Lex Luthor. So I always, I'm
Clancy
like,
could
okay,
have
that's a
done
nice little
both.
synchronicity there.
I think Clancy could have done both. I would have been fine with that.
I would have too. So again, just everything you guys are saying. One of the things that I like very much is that, like the whole, is it Barovia, Bavaria? I can't remember which. Off the
Barovia,
like,
yeah.
yeah. That it's
Bad
like,
DC foreign country name.
yeah. So it's like that part is like secondary for his main plot, which is just to kill Superman. I love that, and what I really liked
It's so
is it's like
contrived.
I know I'm being jealous. I know I'm being, I hate the fact that I'm always have to be lumped in with like Galileo and, Einstein and all that. I know that I'm not an idiot. I still just I hate you and I want you to die. And again, there was one thing missing. I was so hoping a little bit is purple shirt, green pants. And just
Yeah.
one scene, but for all
Yeah.
of that, again, another perfect Lex Luthor in the comic moment is when he's playing kind of Russian roulette when Clark is in the cage. I'm like, oh, that's a dead perfect Lex Luthor comic moment right there.
Yeah.
Every beat of it.
Yeah. I think Brent, you're right. He really does hold it together. I think that get the casting of Superman and Lex to be that in sync.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very, I like watching them being interviewed together. It really kind of shows you that, oh, I know you guys really got along, liked each other, so that made it easier.
Mm-hmm.
An actor likes to be up on the stage and do a really heavy scene with with a friend. So when someone says stop, cut or whatever, they can go back to whatever, the real camaraderie shows in the performance you get from them. And they're great together. I mean, they're really good together.
I have to say that relationship, real life relationship between the actors and the way they bounce off each other, they're great when they're not in character as well as when they're in character. It reminds me a bit about the casting for the original Star Wars in some ways, that you've got Harrison Ford being pulled in as a carpenter that's working on a set, hey, you stand in as Han Solo, we'll put you in and see what the dynamic's like. And, it just worked. And we've got this, trio in Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford that just worked. I guess I don't quite feel that Lois fits it as strongly as Carrie Fisher did. And I feel like, when I watch those interviews, even you see the two guys together, there's an electricity there. And I think he makes Cornsweet's Superman even better.
Yeah.
Because of that. I don't feel the same way. Like what's the relationship between Brosnahan and Holt? Like I don't feel like it's the same, and I feel like the Lois Lex stuff is not as strong. I think the Lois Clark stuff is great in the movie.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, I don't.
Stuff is not so cool.
Now that you mention it, there is something that you really is missing, is that Lex and Lois have known each other for years, because she's been up as, she's been after him for years. So they have this thing, but we don't get to see that. That's something that's missing. That is something that's missing, because it is a triangle in a way. And it's always better when it is a triangle, that Lex is, he knows he doesn't want Lois. He just wants to best Lois, and that'll piss off Superman.
Yeah.
Or whatever, the other way around. But yeah,
this was a little weird that it was only that in 3 years of being Superman and Lex hadn't actually met yet. That actually threw me a little bit.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I didn't. That was a little odd that they had never met. It was like, really? I think you would have met. I think Lex would have made sure he met you to size you up. Lex is sneaky. He would have come up and acted like your friend. It's what I always like when they do a retelling of the origin, is where Lex tries to outsmart him. early on. And he's like, I may be a farm boy, but I'm not a moron. I'm, and also I have X-ray vision. I'm looking behind your wall. You're a mad fucking scientist. You got a death robot in the closet. But yeah, he was really, I liked it. That's, and he could do the funny. It's not silly funny like Gene Hackman, but they're jokes in some of the twisted scenes he's doing. I think he's spot on, and I think he is one of the things. Yeah, I agree. I think he's spot on. All right, so we have Daily Planet crew. I want to do because I have thoughts. I'll do them quick. Perry's okay, underused actor. Why there's not? This is the dude from The Wire. Give him more to do. Steve Lombard's a joke. Yeah, it's okay. It's the punchline. I thought the guy was funny. I don't like Steve Lombard. Could live with. I kind of like Kat that she looked like the social influencer and kind of weird. I find them very unattractive people because they look kind of fake. But her and Lois just talked. I kind of like that. Why do you have someone called Ron in the movie and he has one line? You're never introduced. I'm glad that character's in the movie. Give him something to do. It really was just like, that's uncomfortable. The black character gets one line. It was uncomfortable. It was wrong. I really dislike that. And this is the first Jimmy Lois I didn't want to curb stomp. I fucking hate Jimmy. He's annoying, except in the comics. He's been written well. Every other movie, TV version, I have maybe I don't know. Smallville had pre-Jimmy, the Ashmores or whatever. But in the cartoons, maybe I've liked Jimmy, but I've just not liked them. They've always made him kind of twerpy. Like you're not charming. I just like that and I like that he was a ladies' man. I thought it was hysterical. And I thought him and Miss Tessmacher being together was hysterical. And I like the kid he's on the Righteous Gemstones as one of the kids. And he holds his own with all those people. I really liked it. That was mine. That's my quick take on the Daily Planet. What about you, Brent?
Look, very similar. I think, I could have done with less Hawk Girl and more Ron Troop. I agree. I think why have the whole floor of the Daily Planet going into Mr. Terrific ship to save the world if you're not going to give them all something to do? I think Cat Grant wasted, Steve Lombard wasted. Save them for a future film. If you're not going to actually use them, bring them in later to build the story.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about it. If it was just Jimmy, Lois, and the three of them, that'd have made sense.
Yeah. We've had that before, that it's just been Jimmy, Lois, and Perry, and I think that's okay. And if you don't want to do it that way, then give Jimmy less to do and give Ron something to do. I think the actor playing Jimmy was amazing. I really liked him as Jimmy. I really liked the dynamic between him and Superman. And you could almost imagine that he had the signal ring, the signal watch, to call Superman. I really like that. I think it was also funny that he was, that Tessmacher was attracted to him, because the comic book Jimmy would never get the girl. I don't think
the two girls in the mailroom are fanning themselves over Jimmy, and I thought it was over Superman. And they're like, "Oh crap!" And my wife goes, "No, didn't you notice they're hot for Jimmy, not for Clark?"
That's great. I actually, I'm going to look for that when I rewatch the film.
Oh yeah, they're blatantly just looking at him, and he's like, "Oh my god." Why me? He looks pissed off. It's really a fun moment. It's not because of Clark.
Perry, great. He didn't have a lot of lines, but gee, he delivered them well. And you knew it was Perry, and he was really well positioned as the editor-in-chief and all the rest. So I think that was really good. One of the things Kirby and I were talking about with Jimmy was I didn't like that he was the one that did the investigating and reporting that sort of solved the what Lex had been up to. And it was kind of driven through Tessmacher giving him the social media photos and all that stuff. But it's kind of that's Lois's job at the Planet, or Clark's job to be the reporter. It's not Jimmy, the photographer's job, to do the reporting. And I know there were photographs, but it's kind of I don't know. I felt that was a bit out of character. Like he's meant to be the gopher. He's meant to be the assistant. He's meant to be cutting his teeth. And yeah, okay, if you're cutting your teeth, you might have that breakthrough moment, and maybe that's what we got to see. But I don't know. I felt that was a bit out of character, and it was kind of driven by the romance, sort of, the unrequited romance from Tessmacher. Yeah, so that's probably my take on the Daily Planet.
Yeah, no, so by and large I agree. One of my quibbles is like if we had like 5 minutes more of Clark in the Daily Planet, with Ron, with Steve, with Kat, like I think that would have definitely helped a lot of the criticism. One of my favorite, and again, this is all actors speaking, to whomever all the time, is like what I have heard is like Rachel Brosnahan has talked to all these different reporters to get the idea of like what it is to be. And the guy who played Jimmy is like, well, she had already done all this work, so I was just kind of following what she was doing. I'm like, oh, that's a perfect Jimmy answer to me, honestly. But yeah, I actually kind of so I do get Brent, of giving Lois more to do, but at the same time, like Jimmy has been in at best kind of an afterthought in like all of the other Superman movies, and so for being like one of the most steadfast members of the supporting cast since like what the 40s, I'm like, you know what,
Well, he
fuck, give
his
him a
own
little
comic
more, give him a
Yeah,
little more to
radio,
do.
wasn't
So yeah. So again, like I would have liked kind of more with all of them, and hopefully, we can get something more with all of them because, like I said, the bit with like again, I would have liked a classic Steve Lombard pull a prank on Clark, he foils it. Cat flirts with him. Maybe we get a little like, oh, even though Lois is a little unsure on their relationships, even she has a pang of jealousy or something like that. And what I really liked is at the end of the film, when, in Superman Get Up, he and Lois walk off and Perry goes to Jimmy, how long have they been together? About 3 months. So I like the implication of like, at the very least, Perry and Jimmy know that, Clark is Superman, but they're not going to, but it's like, okay, it's a secret. We're going to keep the secret.
Yeah.
So and again, I think that helps. Again, maybe that's just foreknowledge we all have as the comic readers, but Perry knows. And if you have a Perry that doesn't know, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So
So next up we have the look of the film. I'll go for I just have I liked it, looked like a comic book, and my favorite thing is they use Cleveland. I think I really like the look. I like that Metropolis wasn't New York, or wasn't Chicago, or wasn't well, it would never be Boston because Boston is not that big. Its downtown does not look like a big city. But I like that it looked. I just like the look of Cleveland. I think the city was a beautiful place to shoot it. Gave you I don't know that skyline. I've never been to, I have been to Cleveland, but I don't remember that, and we didn't go downtown. We went to the ballpark. So, it was foreign to me, and it had a lot of character. It has a lot. It looks beautiful. It looks like that. It looks like a nice place to go visit, And so I really liked it. I think I like the primary colors. Superman's costume is red, yellow, and blue.
I would have to
bright blue. Yeah. I do costume. My pet peeve on all Superman. I don't need all that stitching shit. I know you don't want it to look like a wetsuit, but there are other ways to do it. It doesn't need to be stylized. It could just have a scene. But I do like the costume, and I do like the S, and I like that it is a shield. It's even a little more shield than others. So, but overall, I like the look. I think even the Justice Gang costumes. Okay, you gave them uniforms. I would have rather. Well, you gave them Mr. Terrific's uniform. They didn't really stretch it. They just altered his. Gave them, this is what guys would look like, which that might be one of my peeves. Just put them in their costumes. And if, and guys look stupid. Yes, it's Guy. Make it look stupid. Make it, put him in, his costumes got dumber and dumber. I would have been fine with it. But overall, it looked like a comic book. I think they they gave me the 4-color brightness, and I like that. There was no dark and dingy stuff. It wasn't, a lot of daylight. It was pretty. I mean, I liked it.
I think it's really good visually. I think they got this right. I think the opening scene with, I've said I didn't like the fact that it started with a weak Superman, but I do think that the background, that everything just so white and gray and blue, and like having this injured Superman like hopping off the whiteness was really powerful. I love the scenes inside the Fortress of Solitude. I love the callbacks to previous versions of Superman, and particularly the Donna stuff, was just so highlighted. The sciencey sort of take of the Fortress of Solitude was great. I love seeing the Superman robots,
yes.
Gary.
Yeah.
Gary's my favorite, one of my favorite characters in the movie.
I've got a figure of him.
A name. So is Gary.
Number 4, yeah. So that stuff was great. The Daily Planet was spot on. I felt like I was watching George Reeves' Superman, from the black and white days. I loved that look. I think Cleveland was a perfect choice with all that stuff. The architecture they highlighted, really clever. I think the Pocket Universe is something I'd like to talk about.
Okay.
Yep.
I like the look of it. I thought it was great. I did wonder if they were making a parallel to Alligator Alcatraz in that.
That would be
sort of prison that they had in there.
They would already have filmed it way before that had happened, but it really
did feel a bit like, a bit of a, I guess we're going to lock up all the bad guys. This is what dictators do, is they remove all the opposition. And clearly that's what Lex was up to. For the Pocket Universe, I'm a big Legion fan, as you both know. And
I heard when I first heard it, I thought of Pocket Pacific Pocket Universe one.
So maybe for listeners, I'll just explain. The term has sort of been around since the late 80s because DC had a bit of a problem around that time. John Byrne came in and said there was no Superboy. So Superman just landed in Metropolis as a fully grown adult and started his superheroics then, didn't have powers as a teenager, was still developing them. And this was a big problem for the Legion of Superheroes comic, which had been around since 1958, 59, and lots of history. And suddenly there was no Superboy in it. And so the Legion at the time tried to do some sort of timey-wimey stuff to make it work, which didn't really work. And they brought in a storyline where they basically said, no. Superboy still existed, but he was in a pocket universe created by, it turned out to be the Time Trapper in those days, and that had basically sliced off a piece of reality. Superboy still existed there. And it was kind of a bit of a patch job, like when your plumbing breaks and you stick a plaster on it to try and fix it, and it doesn't really fix it. So for me, Pocket Universe has always had that history attached to it, but I know why they did it, because we have been in the multiverse of madness in Marvel for the last 3 years. And I think if they'd used the word multiverse or anything like that, they would have turned off a whole lot of audience members. And I think, time travel and multiverses, just stay away from it. Like it's not what
it needs a rest.
Yeah, it really does.
As a big DC fan, I'm fine. Like I can deal with the multiverse. Give me Earth 1, Earth 2. I'm happy. But for the average punter, no. And so I kind of feel like that was really good. I like the way it was otherworldly, and like physics seemed to not quite work the same way there. And I really like that. I really like the scenes in, I'm going to call it Alligator Alcatraz. I thought they were really powerful scenes in the movie. I love the look of Metamorpho. I thought they spot on. My God, the special effects in those scenes must have cost them a fortune. Like, that's where all the money was spent for sure. The scene with the exploding gas canister.
Oh, we lost him again.
Oh, geez.
Hey, Brent, we lost you again.
Gas canisters.
Oh, yeah. I was just saying all the scenes in sort of with the kaiju.
Yep.
were really, really powerful. I love that stuff. And some of the cute stuff was fun too, like the miniature kaiju and things like that. That stuff, I know they're trying to sell toys. And I think the Justice Gang, of course I love seeing the Hall of Justice. Amazing. All that stuff, just great. And sort of lots of nice little Easter eggy things that were visual.
The White Martian. What did he keep calling the White
Martian? Venusian at one point.
What?
Didn't he call him a Venusian at one point, Lex?
He goes, it's hard to catch a Martian. Yeah, it is, but it's a White Martian. Is driving anything, and he had a name, and that's whose picture is on his desk.
Mr. Handsome, I think.
Mr. Handsome. Yeah, and if you notice right before Lex's desk gets thrown, there's a picture on his desk, and it's not of a human being, it's of that white creature.
Wow, I missed that. So I'm gonna have to look for that.
I saw it on the second go. I was like, oh, that's funny as shit, because you barely see it. You made it just snaps. I loved all that. Well, this will lead into Justice Gang. I liked Mr. Terrific a lot. I like Guy a lot. I have a nit to pick with Metamorpho. Rex is an adventurer. He'd be a little more stoic, maybe, but also you've got a madman in another box with his baby, and you can't escape. And this Lex has got you by the coat. He's got you by the conus because he's got your baby, and you're probably breaking down. Lex is pretty good. He's probably been torturing you. But that was a pet peeve, but I like it. I kind of was disappointed in Hawkgirl. I like the actress, the banter in the train station and the fighting, but she could have given her, I felt that she wasn't given enough to do, and when have the Hawks screamed that new power they gave her? Or has Hawkgirl been able to do that before in comics?
That to me is that to me is new. Okay. And real quick before we go to the Justice Gang, I agree. And again, with pretty much everything you guys have said, I also like a lot of like the cuts, and this kind of goes into editing of the film of like, when Hawkgirl, to kind of keep the tone, when she drops the President Baravia, and then but that's immediately hard cut with Steve dropping an egg in the water. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. There were a lot of little touches like that I think really helped with the film. And Metamorpho, I think he's not how I picture Rex in my head, but for the script that's given, and I like that actor a lot. He was really good in Barry. The problems with seasons 3 and 4 of Barry aren't his fault. And again, I'm surprised we got that purple and orange of a Metamorpho.
Oh, what I loved is when he flew and it was just his head and his whole body's gas. My wife was like, "What do you?" Because I went, "What?" Yeah. She was, "What?" That's what Metamorpho looks like in the comic books. They didn't mess it up.
Yeah. Hopefully this stuff gets some kids to read comic books. It's like, we're talking the 3-color comics here. Of course, they're going to be those bright, vibrant colors.
Yeah.
Like, I loved that shit. It's like, I didn't like Mr. Terrific's stealing Orion's sled to fly around in. I thought I was looking at Orion from the New Gods flying around. But I did like his ship. I thought that was really cool. And things like the teleporters, taking them to the pocket universe and stuff. That stuff all looked great, I thought.
Oh, I was amazed that the pocket universe wasn't called like a Phantom Zone. That was the thing that I'm like, oh, I figured that was just that could have just been an easy toss up. But
no. Well, I like it in them. It's like, and they're having to use tech to do something that's, you really need. He's that kind of genius. He's like, 100 years ahead of everybody else. So it looks like he's jury rigged it in some ways. I don't know. I really liked it. I like the actor who plays Mr. Terrific. I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. I just watched when I was first laid up with the broken foot. I watched Masters of the Air. Not Masters of the Air. For All Mankind on Apple. I'm an astronaut nerd. I've never watched this. I've also like Ron Moore, and he plays the Elon Musk character in the later seasons. And he's really good in it. But I really liked him. He was a little tougher, a little more streetwise, Mr. Terrific. But I really liked him, and I liked him and Lois together. They were pretty fun.
Yeah, so with Mr. Terrific specifically, yeah, honestly, he did kind of steal the show a lot of the time. Where I'm kind of fine with the little tougher, it's like Lois is kind of going on. I'm like, oh, I was about to break up, and it's like, I don't care about your crap right now. We are dealing with a lot heavier stuff, even
Yeah.
if he won't say it. And it's like, uh, look, if there's one person I'm gonna need the brains to fight Luthor on, it's gonna be Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
Into one of the funnier comic or comedic moments, it's like, what are you doing goofing off for in Superman after he's just throwing Bizarro,
Yeah.
into the
Been
black
doing some
hole?
important stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing. And I'm like, oh, that's again perfect moment.
Spoilers.
I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I want to see a terrific show. I want to see a terrific show. I want to see it now.
Yeah. I recommend
Yeah.
you try the Mr. Terrific Year One comic. I've enjoyed it. It's been good, really good.
Yeah, and certainly well timed with the movie, Ross. They clearly brought that out with that timing.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
they knew. They've been seeing edits of this movie for the last year and a half, probably,
Mhm.
and
we
sharing
had a
them with
whole
people. Like, hey, this is going to be big. Come on, McFarlane made a terrific sphere for the Axis for the little superpower figures.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just think they nailed it. I've been listening to, are we going to get a Justice League movie? And he's been very honest. He's like, I don't know yet. I don't know. And every movie's going to be very different.
Yes.
The Clayface movie is a hard R body horror movie.
Mhm.
They're just going to tell Clayface's origin, I guess. And they've had the success with the Penguin, where that's a great Penguin. He's a criminal. Thank you. You finally got it right. He's a criminal. He's not a dude. I hate the tuxedo. You know what I mean? Unless it's really because he's, runs a nightclub. But yeah, they're going to do different things. And none of us have talked about Guy.
Ooh.
Well,
Can I
I'd
start
like
with
to
Guy?
talk more about the Justice
sorry.
Gang, because I've got problems with this. Like my problem with it is, it's probably my history with DC, right? Is Superman's like the original hero, right? 1938 launches the company. The term superhero comes from Superman. Like, he's the big guy, right? I didn't feel in this movie we got the guy that all the Justice League are looking up to. I think we got a guy who's still finding himself, and Mr. Terrific's already worked out who he is and what he's doing. And it felt like he was the leader more than Superman was the leader. And, I don't think Guy or Hawkgirl were looking up to him in the least. They were just narky and snarky and quippy. And, like, at least Hawkgirl could have looked up to him. Like, one of them could have.
So yeah, that would have been a nicer thing for her to do, because Guy was acting like Guy.
Guy was Guy.
I think
he had to, right?
Yeah. Okay, so for me, like, okay, just play, devil's advocate counterpoint for that. Okay, so yeah, no, this is definitely a Clark who is still figuring stuff out. That is very true. But when at the end of the film, when they're all watching the news footage, you kind of get the look on Guy's face, on Hawkgirl and Metamorpho, like, okay, you know what? Let's. And I think Superman says, like, hey, I called some friends to take care of this. And I get the implication that, like, okay, you know what? He's a dumb Boy Scout, but man, he's got a point. Let's try and be a little better than we have been. And two guys where I actually think they got the right level of guy where, yeah, this guy is an arrogant jerk we're going to see get punched in the face sooner rather than later. And it's like, okay, when he first hears of the Jor-El message, it's like, hey, if you are actually here as a invade and conquer, you are what I'm supposed to fight against. And so I think, like, okay, for all of his bluster, at the end of the day, he is a hero and he will do the right thing, even in his own jackass way. Um, but at the end of the day, it's like, look, they're of the cloth. He understands there's some things.
Such a jackass.
I know.
I do. I love Nate Fillion. He can do whatever he wants. He's in I'm a big Gunn fan since Slither, and he does have his repertory actors, and Fillion's in everything. It's just a rule, him and his brother.
And I don't know how he became a live-action Kevin Maguire drawing, but he did.
He's a comic nerd. He's admitted he's a comic nerd. I like his portrayal. Is spot on. I can see, I have a rule, Brent, because I think I've told this to Kirby, when we've talked about superhero stuff. I hate my big problem with most superhero movies, between like Superman 1 and the early Marvel ones, is they always want to top themselves, and there's always like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, or it's like, why are there 3 villains? Do you have to have 3 villains? Do you have to have do you have to have this clutter? It's fucking clutter. Why don't you just do like Spider-Man and Sandman? And I'd have loved to have seen that one. You cast the perfect person. He looked like the Sandman, and it would have looked cool. But no, you got to add it's just stupid stuff. And it was, it's like, I'm going to see it because it's a superhero movie, and it's like, for the they're not, none of them really hang around. They just, it's a pet peeve. It's like, and that I was afraid of that a little bit in this. They use characters I love, though. It's like, are you reading my mind? Because could I, Mr. Terrific? They're like who I'm I'm reading, I'm interested in now. And Wade's using, God, he's a Terrific's been everywhere the last couple of years. So, but yeah, I get it. I get that. And I think you could have given more time to Lois and Jimmy and Perry. That's where you could have gotten some of that, or he could, been a good time to bring Supergirl in instead of the end which I didn't mind the joke, because I've read Women of Tomorrow, that she's gone off for her 21st birthday, and she meets the main character of the book by starting a ballroom brawl drunk. And it's great. And then it's a very nurturing story. I will say that she becomes a nurturer very quickly. But yeah, there was I just loved him as a comic nerd, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And I don't think they were as bad as, what I'm complaining about, the 3 villains or whatever, all the extra heroes in a super Spider-Man movie or something, or Silver Surfer, just the weird things they did in all the bad FF movies. So.
And they're definitely there to help serve, as the, point counterpoint, where it's like when they're fighting the kaiju, and it's like, oh man, we could have taken him to like an intergalactic zoo. And I love the fact that in 3 years he's already been to an intergalactic zoo.
Yeah. I think fans of our age went, oh, that makes perfect sense. And everybody else went, what's an intergalactic zoo?
It's such a Legion of Superheroes reference too.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. But it's like, okay, I think it was, I can't remember Mr. Stuff Guy, but it's like they give him a look of like, dude, we could have wrapped this up. Like, if we didn't have, you're like, oh, we could say, no, we're just going to take care of this. And, we're going to make sure everyone's safe, because they make a point of like, even guys like, get out of here. So, again, they're not, and with them being like the corporate back, they could have so easily been the boys, but I felt, no, they had the right mark there. And, obviously, with the symbol is can very easily evolve to a JL for a Justice League, and it's like, you know what? You build a Justice League with Guy, Hawk Girl, Mr. Terrific, Superman, the Flash, a Wonder Woman. That throw in like the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle. That's a Justice League I'd read.
Yeah, that would be So, all right. Next, we have bad guys. Engineer Ultraman. They were good plot device. They were okay. They did what they were supposed to do. They didn't bother me, but they didn't impress me. I'm glad he wasn't the real Ultraman, that he was a Bizarro. That it wasn't. If they had done from another universe, the multiverse shit, I would have been pissed. I kind of like that he was just a trained dog. And it means you can bring back that, the same thing. You could grow another one and then do it again. So it was okay. She was okay. I don't understand why you picked the engineer.
That was one of my things.
The most wholesome of the Authority. The rest of them are horrible people. She's the nice one. And they make her the hard killing, the racist killer.
I was amazed they did not call her Mercy Graves in this movie, honestly.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. So with Ultraman, I'm agree. Like, this is not the first time, nor will it be the last time Luthor has cloned Superman. And that is one of the few things where it's like, as soon as the mask came off, because it's pretty much telegraphed from the first scene in the Antarctic that it's a clone. I wish he was just chalk white and all broken up and disfigured, but he got knocked into a black hole. So I'm like, okay, you can bring him back anytime and have him be
Coming.
wide and lumpy and disfigured. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I was hoping with all of the was it A1, B17, that I was hoping it would be B0 and it goes Bizarro or something like that. It's like, is that dumb? Yes. But this is also a movie where Clark, again,
Yeah.
super breathed his way out of a black hole. So,
Yeah. I really liked the bad guys, and if you look at them as a trio and you throw Lex in there as well, I think the engineer was a really good strongman for Lex, like to have this sort of bodyguard next to Lex. I really liked the effects around her. I thought the way she fought Crypto and the robots, and that was all fantastic. I'm keen to see more of her. I'm not a fan of the Authority. I haven't read it. And I think Gunn is going to go there. I think it's one of the properties he wants to develop.
It's one of the ones I don't know if it's one of the ones that got canceled, because he's already canceled a couple because the script's bad. Move on. We're not going to do rewrites.
Yeah, and look, this might come back. I think she could carry, she could be a good bridge to a series or a cartoon or whatever of those characters. Ultraman, obviously, I knew who he was. It's, the Earth 3 version of Superman who's evil. Again, I agree with you, Kirby. I'm glad they didn't make it a multiverse thing. We don't need any more of that in movies at the moment. And I think I knew from the beginning they were going to take the hat off and it was going to be Superman under there. But I guess the thing I didn't like about that is I'm not a big fan of going back to the well. And I think what's one of the problems with Star Trek, you go back to the well too many times, the well ends up being dry. And, we've seen a Christopher Reeve movie where he meets an evil version of himself. And, I've seen that story. I don't need to see it again. It wasn't very good the first time. I don't think the Ultraman character was very strong. He clearly had no good script. He's just following direction. He's a thug, basically. He was a tank to put in there to depower Superman. I like your idea, Kirby, that he goes through the black hole and maybe Bizarro World is on the other side. The whole Bizarro universe on the other side. Fun. Like, I'm up for that. And I agree with you. I would have much rather seen a flawed clone. I guess he was flawed in the fact that he couldn't think.
So what I was kind of hoping for, just based purely on the trailers as I was walking in the theater, it's like, it would turn out he would be some version of Parasite, and so that's what Superman, Clark doesn't realize that he's getting weaker and he's getting stronger as they fight. And it's like I wouldn't even know to call him Parasite all of a sudden. It's like you could have just kept him Superman, but it's like, this is Rudy Jones, I experimented on him, blah blah blah. He was one of my sycophants, so I made him, to suck all of Superman's energy out of him and become even more powerful. And that's kind of what I was really hoping for, especially with all of the purple and whatnot. But if he turns out they're going to go the Doomsday route again, oh God, do I not need that? Do I not need that at all?
Yeah.
And look, I really liked, I'm probably among the few people, I really liked the first half of Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern movie. And I kind of feel like you can throw too much at a movie. I agree with you, Ross. And I think had to stop the movie with him going to Oa and meeting the other Green Lanterns and setting him up for his training, I would have been really happy. Did he need to fight against Sinestro and Parallax and Hector, whatever his name is, Hammond?
Hector Hammond?
Oh yeah, God, that one. There was
come on, just give me one of them. Just one of them. And why would you choose the guy with the big head? Like, seriously,
one of the worst Green Lantern villains, honestly. And so I agree. Just quick side, that middle 10 minutes of when Hell's on Oa, that should have been the first 20 minutes of that movie. And it's because that's actually a Green Lantern adaptation.
Yeah. And look, I'm happy with him meeting Tomar Ray and just getting the ring and futzing around like Shazam does, trying to work out how the powers work for the first movie. And just barely beating the villain. I kind of think this was always my concern about this version of Superman, was that they were throwing too much at it. And I get that Gunn wants to drop us in the middle. I think the movie suffered for not enough development of a whole lot of things. I wanted to see more of a lot, and maybe that's what you want. Maybe you want to be left with a feeling of wanting more. but it just kind of made me a bit nitpicky with, that's not quite right. Like, I didn't like Hawk Girl Scream either. It's like, Mr. Terrific doesn't fly. Like, what's going on there? It's like, I don't know. It probably leads us a bit to, what were the things that mirror what we know and things that don't. I think there were some things for me that, like Jimmy being so different, I liked it, but I also didn't like it. Ma and Pa Kent, I get the small town, but I also wanted some of what I had before. And I was saying to Kirby, Ross, that I feel a bit like that comic book fan that's kind of yelling, that's not my Justice League. I'm turning into that guy. And look, I am the age that I saw Christopher Reeve when I was 9. And so it's kind of inevitable. And I think I'm okay with that. Like, it doesn't need to be my favorite Superman movie. I hope it's the next generation's.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect. He
because
wanted
so
that same.
Important.
He definitely was the thing he wanted to emulate of the original Superman is that a kid's going to go into it and like Superman. You could put an 8-year-old in this movie and there's nothing in it that they can't see. And some of the little adult themes that there might be in there, they don't know what it is and they're not going to pay attention. That's not what they're looking at. And I was 78. I was like about 13 when it came out. I might have been 14 if it came out at Christmas. I don't remember if it was a December movie. But I've always loved it. But I will go off on, I hate the fucking ending. It's terrible. Because I was 14. You're going to spin around. No, that's not the way they're spinning Earth. It's not a Silver Age comic. It's not, it's not a Silver Age comic. So, and even seeing the Donner cut, but I enjoy Superman 1 and 2. I think Superman 2 is a fun
one.
Yeah, it is the best one because it has the comedy. And Richard Lester is a comedic genius. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his 3 Musketeers and 4 Musketeers. They came out a few years before Michael York. They're some of the funniest movies I've ever seen. They are comedies. But they're still an action movie. So, so I like this because I think it's, I think it's going to be someone's first movie. It's like when I talk about Doctor Who on my Doctor Who podcast, every Doctor Who, every person who's played the Doctor is somebody's first. That's your hook. We all saw an episode of it, or whoever was playing the part, and we got sucked in and we watched the rest of it. And I think that's kind of what Gunn is going for. And he's also knows, because he's made Marvel movies, he tried to declutter it because Marvel movies are full of a lot of stuff going on. And they just get busier and busier, it seems.
Yeah.
But I think he understood I think he wanted to show, I'm going to use a different formula here. You've seen what I can do with those toys. I'm going to do this with these toys. And he's going to let other people play with I think he's smart I like what I've heard, him say about, this is what's in universe. This is out of universe. We're going to do out of universe stuff too, because we don't need to put everything in the one cookie jar. But Creature Commandos, Superman, Clayface, and I forget the other one he said are the only 4 that are for sure. And Supergirl. Because some of the others won't be. He's going to decide going on. So I don't know. I think that's the big thing of the movie. My big thing of the movie. It's just it's fun for everybody. It was just meant to be. We haven't had a movie where Kirby. Have you seen it twice yet?
Oh yeah, I saw it. I saw it again yesterday, and like I said, I haven't seen a movie twice in theater since the first Harry Potter. So I mean,
I really wanted to go back.
Yep. So for me is again, Brent, I totally get what you're saying. It's like, is this 100% of like the DC universe in my head either? No. But at the same time, like, I was so entertained and like I was like it got to me a lot of the time where again, I hate the fact that I have to keep going back, but like versus say how I felt coming out of Man of Steel, where are you guys hearing that blinking on okay, never mind then. Where it's like that movie, I hated that movie while watching and coming out. So all of the differences just kind of built up to that. Whereas here, it's like because I felt a lot more happy while watching the movie. The differences did not bother me nearly like as much. And again, is there stuff I would change? Absolutely. But overall, like I was happy. Like I liked the fact we got to see just pretty much straight up the All-Star Superman robots that we just have all. They just straight calls them Superman robots. We have
that.
Crypto in a movie.
Yeah, I love
It's not
Crypto.
a dumb joke.
I like Crypto.
They used him the exact right amount too, I think.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was a misbehaving dog, I loved. I really enjoyed that.
Some of my best lines.
Usually the loyal companion that's very much on Superman's side. I love the fact that he wasn't.
I love that he was sleeping on him when he was
side.
sick, though. I really love that he was sleeping on him when he was sick, like a pet would do. Like that. Yeah. I kind of like salty Supergirl. Really do. I'm not a big Supergirl fan. It was like I need to read maybe more of them, but it was just I have no urge to read Silver Age Supergirl. I've liked some Supergirls in the modern era, in the modern era. I like Wade's take on it a little bit, and I jump in and out. I've heard that someone said the Sophie Campbell one's really good. I hadn't tried it. I'll read it on the app.
Yep, I've heard good things.
I want to hear, and I want to see something for a Supergirl. It should be a character for girls, and that's what it was designed. Because when little girls read comic books in the '60s, a little more than they were kind of pushed out of fandom. I feel sometimes when comics, like when I was working at comic shops in the '80s, but I liked it, and I like that Crypto and her have that. When Gary and Clark are talking about the bad relationship with the dog. Yeah, they have boundary issues.
What did your wife think of Supergirl, Ross?
Huh?
What did your wife think of Supergirl in the end credits?
She thought it was funny. She didn't know anything about Supergirl. I don't think she knows a lot of her comics from Marvel being this time and then living with me. So, but she said it. She was kind of hovering when we started. She wanted to tell me for things to say that it makes her kind of want to read a Superman comic.
Okay.
So that's I'll find something. I'm not going to give her Generation. I'm not going to give her something weird, but I'll give her. Yeah, I could give her because we watched and it's happened before. She did that with Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur cartoon. So she's read I've got the complete collection, and she's read some of it because she's really liked it. But this movie made her kind of want to read one. I was okay. I'll find something. I was actually surprised by that. We had some other topics, but one was next 20. I think we talked about this. Do you think the take on the 2025 character? I think
it fit.
I think it fit for me personally. Watching what's going on in this country and being just so disgusted with the manosphere and whatever that, all the anger and everybody bitching in this country about, well, Superman's not, you can't call him an immigrant. He's a fucking immigrant. He was written by the children of immigrants to tell you a story that immigrants, you know what? There's the old thing. Immigrants come, they work 3 jobs so their kids can go to school. The kids become doctors, lawyers. My father, first generation, became a general. And then their kids are shitty. It's just, this is the Superman I wanted everybody to see. This is someone who does something because he's caring and he's doing service. Not everybody's willing to do that. That is people who choose to give service, whether it be military or be a doctor or be a fireman, people who, that do true public service. Politicians in the past, maybe, if they ever existed. You know what I mean? But I like that. And that's what I like about it. I think he's the hero. We kind of need to broadcast a little bit more. We got too many John Wicks. We don't have enough Clark Kents.
Yeah. I think it's fine. I think let's remember what a hit that comic was back in the 1940s, 30s and 40s, right? This was a big selling. People really leaned into that idea of this alien coming to Earth and being human and helping people. And like the original Superman stories are very light. Like they're very
I'm gonna beat up this guy stole from
kind.
Granny. I'm
Like,
gonna beat up
I love the
gangsters.
kind of element of the movie. I think it's really appropriate. I think it's really good timing. The movies, yeah, it's Warner Brothers, right? Let's remember it's gonna have that politics behind it. And okay, it's political, but it's always been political. It's always had this leaning. This is not a new take on Superman. This is the same
God,
take.
No.
And so it's okay. Yeah, the modern bits, like I didn't like him being so weak, maybe, but that's okay. That's been done before. Byrne depowered Superman. He made him more human.
Yeah, and then he gave weird explanation for some of it.
Oh man, yeah.
I kind of, I get what you're saying, and I don't really think I noticed it. I kind of, because most of the time, no matter how you start depowered him, every writer gets to the point to where he can do amazing shit.
Yep. I mean, Kryptonite Nevermore in the 1970s, they really tried to like cut his power by like half at least. And, again, before the crisis, he was back to juggling planets. I mean, stuff happens. And sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Oh, I was just gonna say for some of the other characters, like the Eve Tessmacher, I'm like, for a character that I'm like, I think his own originated in that 78 movie, they did a good job of like not having her feel forced to be slavishly devoted to Donner. Like I think is one of the many downfalls of the Superman Returns, where it's like, okay, she's this or that or whatever, and it's
there's that movie. A movie where I hate Parker
the social media environment.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love
the whole distraction culture. Like I thought that was
some of the jokes about her toes were really funny. The one where they said it looks like shrimp cocktail falling on the floor.
Well, time for me to go to WikiFeet to compare and contrast, see if there's any. One thing that got spoiled for me before I saw the movie is I was just on Reddit and I was on Simpsons shit posting. It's like Superman out of context, and it was the scene of Mr. Burns with all the monkeys on the typewriter going, "It was the blurst of time." So I'm like, how accurate is that going to be? Oh wow, that was 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Some of the little gems, they were good, but I think it was the right character for the time. There's been a lot of criticism online of them removing the truth, justice, and the American way line, but that was removed in comics over a decade ago, and the decision made, and they're trying to sell comic books and movies to an international audience. You can't sell a film
and no one buys that bullshit
and make it all about the United States. Yes, he was a character that was very important in the United States in the 30s and 40s, but we've gone beyond that. We're living in a much more global environment, and it just makes me angry that all these people that are anti-woke are just saying, you've taken away the Americanness of Superman. Well, yeah, that happened. Yeah.
Well, the America. Well, see, that's kind of what we've taken that as Americans. We have allowed it to go away. However much of a myth that was. We were never. My ancestors did a whole bunch of shit in this country in the last 300 years. Some terrible stuff. But we don't get to say it anymore. And I think that's, why Gunn's doing it this way. I think he's like going, we used to be like this. I don't think he's trying to be heavy-handed with the message, but he wants to make that point. He just wants to make that point. We could be like this. It's why I like the Pa Kent line so much. That's what being a good American is. What we like to think it is, that we help each other. We're a nation of immigrants. It's like Native Americans say, you're all illegal aliens. Okay, every last one of you. We were here. You stole it. It's that. But it's the perfect movie for these times. I'm hoping with it being so successful, at least, some people kind of think about it,
And it's interesting. It's not supposed to be doing so well internationally, but I suspect it's going to be a slow boil internationally. I think people are going to come to this movie later. Internationally, I think there is a lot of anti-US sentiment. I know there is in my country at the moment. But I think people will give this movie a chance. I think there'll be talk around it. I think that's good too. I think the fact that it is a bit controversial is a good thing, because that's modern media. Modern media attracts people by being controversial. So like, if he'd just taken the safe ground the whole way through, it'd be bland. It'd be a bland movie. And I think, good on him. It's not just about being a good person in the United States. This movie is also about caring about your neighbors. And he's the opening scene, he goes and saves the people in that foreign nation. And we get that great scene at the end that sort of echoes Iwo Jima, with the flag raising, and it's kind of like, this is actually about, we're part of a global community. We need to be looking out for each other. Yes, it's political, but it's like, that's okay. That's the movie that this company wanted to make at this time.
That I'm surprised, because their CEO's a horrible human being.
Yeah.
And he's a Trump kind of guy. I think it's because he's given up, because he's failed. He's having to split the company up to get his ass out of debt. Goodbye.
Yeah.
That Warner Brothers is being run by movie people, TV people. And I think that's why they hired Gunn. It's like, we're going to put you in charge of it. You're a comic, you've done comic stuff, you make lighthearted movies, it's not there. I don't feel he's being interfered with. And I don't think they would have interfered. You know what I mean? Because there is a lot. We're getting a little.
I don't think they could again after what happened with Justice League, Snyder's Justice League. They couldn't interfere again. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a fan of Cyborg being in the Justice League, for example. I know why they did it. I know they're trying to make it more international. And there's a lot of history that, the Legions is a pure example of it. It's like everybody's white in the Legion. They finally bring a black character in, and they basically make it a refugee story that all the black people have gone to live on an island. It's like,
the white people chased them away. That's a really good message.
Okay. They made mistakes. They made mistakes, but it's also like, you can't fix all those mistakes by patching it. Come up with something new. This is accept what you've got, build new stuff, build some new toys, make them really good. Mr. Terrific, fantastic new toy. Like, what a great thing. One of the other things for me about 2025 take on this is, I've complained about the busyness of this movie. When I saw Superman back in 78, merchandising was a really new thing. And Star Wars was probably the only thing that really had some solid merchandise attached to it. And it was very last minute. Their merchandising of action figures and things. Kids today are used to that stuff. And I'm sure they went into this with a view of, well, we need to have, a range of 20 different action figures that we can sell. We'll have a little kaiju, we'll have a Lex, we'll have an Ultraman, we'll have an engineer, we'll have the 4 Justice League members. Do you know what I mean? I've seen this set of action figures. It looks amazing.
You've gotten yours. I haven't gotten mine yet.
Got, Kirby?
Okay, so I tried to hold off on buying any toys directly related to this film, because if I just kind of came out feeling like, I didn't want to have all of this reminder of it beforehand. But for me, and to kind of play into what you're saying, Brett, is like, okay, I bought a play set, which I've not done since I was like less than 10, of the Fortress of Solitude with a giant Yeti, which is apparently a cut scene and all of that. And I got it primarily because the crypto there fits perfectly with my superpowers line. It's a perfectly scaled to those. So I'm like, okay, and just I guess kind of give an idea. And this again, Ross has said 1,000 times, Bronze Age heart, but the 78 Superman, the problem I have with that movie, it's a great hour-and-a-half Superman with a 45-minute prologue that you could almost kind of cut out. So
maybe we should rate our movies. I'm really interested in hearing from you too. Like,
okay, let's do
that. This movie in a minute, but I'm also interested in hearing, how would you rate the other live-action Superman movies?
We're gonna just talk feature films.
Yeah, maybe just the feature films. I haven't seen the black and white ones. I kind of came in at 78. All right. Maybe from there.
Yeah, today, I can do 78.
Okay, let me go, because I always do it in the moment, because tomorrow could be different.
Exactly.
I could watch Superman 1 again. There was Superman the motion picture again and go, oh, wait a minute. I've been talking shit about it because I haven't watched it in 5 or 10 years. I would put just because Christopher Reeve is so good and Donner really does the origin so well. Superman, I think no, I'm gonna be honest. Superman 2, then this one, then Superman 1. Because I have a lot of even as a kid, I had a problem with Superman 1, and I'm not a Brando fan. He's so bad in it. The only thing that makes me feel good when I watch the Krypton scenes, one of the Krypton councils is William Russell, who was the first male companion on Doctor Who. He's in the first episode.
That real?
Yeah.
Well, I learned something.
Yeah. Well, it was shot in England. You know, he was the head of RADA at the time, so they just brought him in. He even has a line. But yeah, I would put it that Superman 2, because I do love it. It's so much more fun than this. Then Superman 1. I really dislike the Brandon Roush, and but I'd have to put Superman 3 with Richard Pryor before any of the others. And then I would be the Brandon Roush just because I don't. The Snyder ones, I feel he had good intentions of what he was trying to do, but they're uneven, and they're too dark. It's just too dark. You don't go to Zod in movie 1, because I don't have a problem with the Kimling Zod. And in that movie and in that context, yeah, Superman's going to snap his neck. But you've created this context that's really not good for a Superman movie. That's my problem, is genocide. Fighting genocide, you can't do it with real people. It got to be, you know what I mean? It's got to be space alien. It's not the right tone. So the Roush one, I like Brandon Roush as Superman. It's just a movie where, Kevin Spacey and Parker Posey both suck, which shouldn't happen. At least for Parker Posey. I mean, she's been in bad movies, but she's not been the sucky part. Yeah, I just kind of would put Roush and then the Schneider ones all kind of bunched up together. And then Superman 4. But I've done drugs, and that's not fixing that movie. Okay? There's not enough weed in the world that would make that movie entertaining. You're going to turn into a chess pattern. And it's his, I feel sorry for Christopher Reeves that, it was his baby. But, I've actually liked more the TV Superman and the cartoon Superman.
Mm-hmm.
The Superman, the animated series, great. I like the Superman from Supergirl that got the Lois and Superman. I've not watched all of it, but I liked his Superman. That's an older Superman. He really got it. Dean Cain can suck it because his show suck it. I don't really. It was when that was coming out. People go, "Are you watching that?" And I said, it's terrible. It's sitcom meets his crime procedure, just bad American TV formula. It's just terrible. So that's my ratings. I couldn't be more specific. What about you, guys? What about you?
Okay, so if I'm just gonna go for live action. Okay, so before I give that real quick, My Adventures with Superman, I think is a very good chaser for this movie. So I would definitely recommend, if you want something with a similar tone, to give that show a shot. Even with one or two little nitpick hangups I have with it. So for the movies, it's gonna go with this one at the top. In all honesty, it's gonna go Superman 1, 2, 3. Ralph, because it's just kind of suffers from being boring. God, Man of Steel, and my thing with the killing of Zod, it's like, wow, you could have just had him like covering the eyes, and Zod kills himself, but that's a whole other subject. And okay, I came out of that movie so pissed off that I'm like, it's only by objectivity in that I can tell, there is production that succeeded in that I'm not ranking it lower. Batman v Superman is just a miscalculation on every single front, and it's like, for a movie that was as divisive as Man of Steel was, they really doubled down on all of the worst, with one of the few saving graces being like a very good, accurate Batman costume. But that one is like, wow, did you guys just not earn doing Death of Superman in like the last 20 minutes of that film? You don't do that Death of Superman in your second freaking Superman movie. And then it's gonna be, it's Quest for Peace, because I'm sorry, like, for all of my subjective opinions, like objectively, it is just kind of the worst. And I have not seen the Helen Slater Supergirl, so I have to kind of put that.
It's actually not bad.
Okay,
It's
Better
actually
than that.
it's better than that. It's better than a. No, I think it's better than I would put it before I put the Roush movie.
all right.
Wow. You're
Yeah.
being kind.
But because that's how bad. Well, maybe after I don't know, but she's an abhorrent human being now. But
Yeah.
I I prefer.
So for
I
me-
think. What about you? What's yours? I'm sorry.
Yeah, for me, look, it's hard. I'd probably have to say Superman 2 would be my top. I think Donna's stuff there. I think the Man of Steel for me suffered a bit because it was a repeat of that story, basically. And I think sort of talking about the killing of Zod, I think they had nowhere else to go. Like, yes, it's a modern version of that old story, and the acting was better and the special effects were better, of course, and everything. But the thing that differentiated it from Superman 2 was actually the killing of Zod. And I think it took that franchise down a dark pathway that they didn't really need to go down. That had been done in the comics by Byrne in the 80s, killing Zod. And it didn't sit well with me then, and it didn't sit well with me in the Man of Steel because it's just not Superman. So look, I think Superman 2 for me, I would probably put Superman next. I probably then would put the Man of Steel, believe it or not. There were things I liked about it. I quite liked the moodiness. I know this color scheme was different. I didn't mind it. There was a big scene with flapping sheets in the wind. Like, okay, it was moody. I didn't hate it. I'd probably put Superman Returns after that. I quite liked the Routh movie. I just wished I didn't mind him as Superman. I just wish the plot had been stronger. And again, it was a repeat in lots of ways. It was so faithful to the Donna stuff. It wasn't its own thing. Superman 3, I'd probably put all the Justice League and Batman, Superman and things before Superman 3. I didn't think Superman 3 was very good. Superman 4, definitely right down the bottom. Supergirl, probably just above it. My God, it's got endless scenes. Someone had invented the special effect of flying through clouds. It's like, let's just fly through clouds endlessly.
I forgot about that. It's like she's swimming in cotton candy. It's like,
oh my God, it was as bad as the scene with the Enterprise approaching the V'ger.
Oh God.
Does it also take 45 minutes?
Yeah, pretty much. It was up there.
God, there's an hour.
Not a fan of that. I probably would give a bit of thought to the Flash movie. I quite enjoy the portrayal of Supergirl in that movie. I did
too.
I thought she was really good. And I would have liked to have seen more of her. I think there was more to go with that.
These
are kind of comics realistic too, of having that female Superman. There's an Elseworlds version or a multiverse version of that sort of female version of Superman. She really looked like that. I really liked the fact that she looked like her cousin, whereas the blonde, Supergirl doesn't. I thought that was kind of sweet. So yeah, kind of sort of in that order. It's kind of like a bit like you, Ross. Probably if I watch one of them, my mood might shift a bit on some of these.
I'm that way with any art. It's art is always when you perceive it. You know what I mean?
Now, I didn't put this Superman movie into that mix. For me, it's probably sitting somewhere between, I don't know, it's probably under Man of Steel, I'd have to say. I probably like Man of Steel more. It's probably above Superman v Batman, Batman vs Superman. I think, that was another movie they were trying to throw everything at the wall and make things stick. It's like, let's throw you a bit of Aquaman, a bit of Flash, a bit of
I watched the extended versions. I've watched the extended versions of that in Justice League, and I will say that with the extended one of Batman versus Superman, I see what you're going for, and you cut out all the interesting shit.
Right.
There's shit you could trim, but it wasn't most of this. And it's like watching the the Justice League one, which is just basically the next Superman movie. Watching his edit with even the unfinished special effects, all I got out of it was yes, this needed an edit, not by Josh Whedon, and you definitely needed to cut out. No offense to the guy that played Cyborg. Did he get talked to like shit and treated horribly by Whedon? Yeah, Whedon's a fucking terrible boss. He's been doing this shit for his whole career, and they just didn't talk about it. He's terrible. But that guy's not. He's not. I think the problem is a lot of the trimming of him was his performance. Watching him act, I found it really uncomfortable. It was just, and I don't think he's being helped by the script, and I don't think he's being helped by the direction. So I don't know what's going on, So I would always add that one. But I kind of get it. I wanted to I like Schneider. There are a couple movies of his.
He has done movies I like, to be clear.
His Dawn of the Dead remake is.
I think Cavill's good.
Cavill, I think, would have been a great with a different director and a different script. I think he would have been a really, really good Superman.
I think I think he'd be a good Superman. I don't think Amy Adams is a really good Lois Lane. She was pretty.
They did not have good chemistry, which
that's the one thing with her. I like her as an actress.
Oh yeah. Again, absolutely,
yeah.
But
I think Cavill could have been a great. I mean, I like Henry Cavill. He's got a good sense of humor. He's really got a good sense of humor, and you didn't.
The scenes where he was able to be lighter, he was
very good in.
Like, I think when he was lighter, like I know we don't get to see it, but in the Shazam movie, it's kind of like, they lighten up the costume, make it bright blue, just take a bit of the darkness out of him, and I think way better.
Yeah.
And to this movie versus say Batman v Superman specifically, it's like I want to see more branch out of that, and the movie didn't stop dead for 5 minutes to give us mini trailers for the rest of the Justice League.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that bugged me in the theater, bugs me now. Oh, one thing I did want to bring up before I forgot, for Superman 2025, I do understand the criticism of like Supergirl showing up does have raised kind of a plot hole of like, does she know what Jor-El's message was or not?
Yeah, I saw that someone posted it on Blue Sky and went, "Oh shit! Wait a minute, I didn't think about that."
No,
is she a secret Nazi? That's why she's so drunk.
Okay, so my personal headcanon for this right now, and this is halfway a joke, is Jor-El is just that uncle at Thanksgiving. Jor-El, if you bring up Hiram's one more goddamn time, you're eating outside with the dog.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, and at least they set up that Crypto was a foster dog, more or less. So it's like, even if we didn't know there was a Supergirl movie, her little guest spot, a cameo, it helps wrap that up, so it doesn't feel like an unnecessary Marvel setup for a future movie, which I think is a plus. And again, not to rag on, I'm glad that there was not one joke about Superman wearing the trunks on the outside. So
there's stuff that just didn't need to happen, and I like that about this movie. We didn't need the origin. We didn't need to know why the trunks are on the outside. We didn't need to know why his costume was blue. Or who made it. Like, we just didn't need any of that, and I'm glad that they didn't go there. It wasn't necessary at all, because people know Superman. This is not a character that's been around for.
I know. So what are we at? What are we almost 90?
It's like.
Yeah.
90. It's almost 90. I mean, we're only 3 years away from 90, the anniversary.
Yeah, because I think two of my grandparents were also born in 38, and and they're in their late 80s. So we're getting close.
So we don't need all that. We need some development, and I think for 2025, it seems to be hitting the mark. You've got to look at the ratings. They're selling movie tickets. People are going to see it. Kids will get into this movie, and for me as a comic book fan and a comic book movie fan, great, because that means I'll get more. So I'm happy with that, and if the more kids read comic books, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, I'd like to. And I hope that I saw that I hope it's getting marketed to real bookshops and at other places. And I ran comic book shops. I've owned one for a short period of time. It's the whole direct market really fucking damaged this art form. I don't want to say the industry, but you can't go into 7-Eleven and get like a funny comic, an animal comic, and a superhero comic, because that was the gateway.
And
For us in America, it was the spinner racks and the 7-Eleven or the magazine racks
Mhm.
against the wall.
but luckily, I have seen in multiple sheets, specifically in Maryland, West Virginia, Virginia, and Pennsylvania, I have been seeing straight up, here's a rack of DC Comics reprints and all of that. So
Yeah.
that
They
that
saw some of them
is
in the 3-pack bag. Someone was showing it from a
yeah.
sheets that the 3 comics in a bag
Yep,
and they would
that's what
hang
I've
them on
been
the peg.
seeing,
Yeah.
and it's like great. Give me more of that. And I just want to get this little blurb that I pitched to Ross before he saw the movie. Is this movie's a great adaptation of just jumping into the middle of the Triangle era?
It is. It's very triangular. I agree with that, which is not a
Yeah.
problem. For me, that's my favorite era of Superman in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because that's when I read it regularly. I jumped in and out. It was either the Swanderson, which is my favorite as a kid, and I fell in love with the Silver Age stuff. And I like some of the modern, I like DC Comics Presents, stuff like that. But I didn't read Superman regularly until post-Crisis, and I read it for a decade straight,
Yeah.
and I
And
didn't miss an
plus,
issue. Yeah.
for me, I'm about 120 comics away from having a run of Superman in action and the various ongoings post-crisis from 1971 to 2011. So, yeah, this movie
Damn.
definitely made me feel good about that collection.
Yeah.
That's
I like
great.
Superman getting. I also like seeing Superman back in the spotlight. It's nice,
Mhm.
It's been Batman,
I know. I'm
Marvel,
so
Marvel,
sick of
Marvel,
that.
Marvel.
Yeah.
It's and to have a positive one where it's not where this is controversial, but most of there's a lot of love coming from it. I feel more positive than I feel negative vibes from it. Where like Man of Steel and it was about a 50-50. I think it's a little more positive. A lot more positive than negative. Um, and that's good
If
to
you guys
see
were to,
about a superhero movie too.
Mhm.
yeah, if
Just
you
any
guys
of
were
them.
to recommend, if you were to recommend a comic book, a Superman comic book to a listener, what would be a storyline or a trade or something that you'd recommend to a listener as a favorite Superman?
My rote memory of it, I'm thinking. Um,
I've got I got a good entry point one because it is kind of where I started, and that is the Superman Brainiac from like 2007. It's one where, again, kind of like this. You're jumping into a Superman that's been established, sure, but it's a
yeah,
very basic story. It's Superman versus Brainiac, and like all the little bits Johns does to kind of retcon previous stuff. You don't really need to know because, again, at the end of the day, that it's a pretty
yeah.
straightforward story. It's well drawn, even if it's still Gary Frank doing a little too Christopher Reeve heavy reference. I think that's a really good entry point. And if you can get the DC finest of Kryptonite Nevermore, even with my issues of how they have that
In
collected,
publication.
yeah, I still think that, like, I mean, there's a reason my collection starts with Superman 233.
I think, that for me, because that's kind of my entry drug, is Swanderson.
Mm-hmm.
I think even nowadays those comics hold up. I haven't read them in a while. I haven't bought that collection because I'm a triangle guy. To pick a story arc in that, because there's so many good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And that you were reading 5 different creative teams' work, but you were reading one story.
Mhm.
But and I've just gotten those John's hardcovers, so I haven't read those. I just really can't think of one I would just Burns' Man of Steel is not terrible. It's the origin.
It's a little
You get to
dated, but it's
it's
not
a little
bad.
different, but it's told well. It looks good.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mhm.
you know, I
It's
would
this
do
Lex,
that.
right?
I would
It's
do
this Lex
that.
Luthor.
Huh?
Yep.
This
Yeah.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I
Yep.
would go with that one. But my nitpicks with Byrne is there was no reason to get rid of Superboy.
Mm-hmm.
I think what they're doing now with the first, I've only read the first 2 new actions with the new Superboy. I've loved it.
Mm-hmm.
That he's wearing red Converse high tops. Fuck hell yeah, he is. Um, I'm happy we have Superboy again. I'm looking forward to what's going on with the Legion story. I want to see what they're going to do. I'm not getting my hopes up for the Legion I want or a Legion. I just kind of want to see the story play out, and I kind of
Yeah.
want to see how. I kind of liked. Have you guys read the Superman's got the ring and he talks about it in a more recent issue?
No, I have it sitting on my bedside
Then I
table.
won't have
So don't-
spoilers, but it's just some interesting stuff. But it may piss people off a lot.
Treasury? The Treasury you're talking about?
yeah. Which
Yeah,
Or the
yeah.
Summer of
Is that
Superman?
where he looks at the ring and then he goes?
no, I think there is a
I think he's
Legion
in
ring
there.
reference in here, and there's definitely some Legionnaires on the cover that I got.
Yeah, I got that cover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it has
but
Captain
Busy
Carrot on it. I had to get
Yeah,
it.
Scott Collins. Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna have to hunt those down. That down
Yeah.
because I didn't
think
get
my
Captain Boone. Go ahead.
my recommendation probably be Jeff Johns' Superman Secret Origin.
I just got
think
that, so I haven't read it.
That's a good origin.
I think that's a good one. Or the other one would probably be Time and Time Again, which is from the Triangle era.
I love that.
Jumps to 3 versions of the Legion, but also travels to the time of the Nazis and the dinosaurs. And yeah, it's
Who
a
does
fun,
he battle on the moon? Dev-Em? Is he battling Dev-Em on the
I
moon?
think it's Dev-Em, yeah.
Yeah. That's a great one. That's a great one. I just bought I got for $45. I got 5 Jeff Johns Superman hardcovers. The Secret Origins is deluxe. And then it had Superman and the Legion with Frank. And then it had Brainiac, Bizarro, and another one. But they all kind of go in order. I think so, but I haven't read those. I've not read Johns as a Superman, any of it. And I'm a Johns fan. So.
Secret Origin's good.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to read them in order. That's kind of what it told me to on the interwebs.
All right. Man of Tomorrow was my second Legion story, so I definitely have a soft spot for that.
Really?
So.
Oh, that's a good second Legion.
Well, story. Yeah. So it's the Great Darkness, and then Superman and Legion of Superheroes. That's informs a lot of my.
All right, guys. So hey, thanks for coming on. It took a while to get it planned, which is good because I got to see it twice, and so I got to see the breakout, which I loved. I love the breakout scene. But thanks for coming on. Do you have anything comic-wise to recommend before we say goodbye?
I recommend people have a look at James Gunn's mural from the Hall of Justice. And,
it's so cool.
Yes.
Kirby and I were talking about it this morning. It's fun to dissect, work out who all those DC heroes are. It lands this Superman in a very established DCU. And as a bit of a Starman reference, it's nice to see some All-Star Squadron / Justice Society.
Oh yeah,
yep.
I like that Mac Mercury.
There's hope for Starman appearing in this DCU. So
yeah, there was a little. I had to send. They're doing a 7-inch Jack Knight figure. I sent that picture to Kirby earlier.
Yep. With the static shot. Ooh, crap.
My recommendation is something I've recommended before, but I'm getting near the end of it. Colin Bunn, Brian Hurt, and Bill Crabtree's series called The Sixth Gun. It's a supernatural set in the West about 6 magical guns and how, if you have them all, you can recreate the universe in your image. And I'm getting to the end of the original run of like 50 issues. And I feel I could get to the end of this and just go back to the volume 1 and start over. Because I've loved the story that much and I love the characters, and it's getting into that pace where they're shedding characters because we're getting to the final confrontation, and it's just the art's fun. They tried to make it a TV movie, a TV series starring Pedro Pascal, and they made the main characters these 2 Pinkerton men who work for the bad guys, who are like not supernaturally powered at all, but they, for some reason, continue to survive. They're still in the last 10 issues. I was like, those dudes are still alive? Why haven't they died? There's been a lot of carnage and they have no magical powers. But it's a good series. And it's in 3 big volumes with other miniseries in the back, and they're great. It's really, really good. How about you, Kirby?
Okay, so mine's going to be New History of the DC Universe issue 2. Wade, again, I trust Wade. There's something where it's like I squint my eyes, tilt my head, but I think he threads the needle just enough to where I didn't go, okay, I'm going to just actively ignore this page or 2.
Yeah.
Because I'll say this, the Justice League wasn't formalized as a team until a subsequent alien invasion from the planet Appalax caused John Jones, aka Martian Manhunter, to step into the limelight. So That's good. That's a good enough.
That was my
That was my thing,
good
because it's
yeah.
like, okay. The
All
weirdest
right.
thing for me,
I haven't read it yet, but I did kind of go through to see, oh, this is what's going to make people mad. This is going to make people
I haven't
happy.
picked it up yet, so don't spoil too much,
I
Kirby.
have
Oh,
one
no,
last
no.
thing. One last thing, and this is just the ultra nerdy. Based on this timeline, Ralph Dibny appears before Plastic Man. That which throws my brain off because I'm so used to Plastic Man being established in the 40s and just being essentially immortal.
Oh, I may that may be something I dislike. I like him being immortal.
Interesting. Wade was talking, I can't remember where I heard him recently, but he was sort of saying that the timeline in the back of these histories is almost more important than what's in the front. And
That's weird because
there's a
they
lot in the
definitely
back.
That's because
He
they just
also
re-emphasized Justice JLA Year One, which is a great miniseries. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, just have the founding seven be your founding seven.
Yeah,
well, he wrote it. He wrote it, right? So
yeah, he did.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like I
And
get
I
it.
like I'm of this thinking that I like Black Canary being around the whole time and being the daughter.
Yeah.
Because the switching of daughter, oh no, you're really not Diana, you're the daughter, is
That's so
bad.
confusing.
So bad. All right, guys. Thanks for coming on. I had a fun time talking about it. It was hard not to put anything on the interwebs because I really didn't want to say much other than, and also just kind of say I liked it. Went on the internet. I don't really go into it anymore. So I appreciate y'all coming on. All right, folks. As always, thank you for listening. Go see a superhero movie. Go see this one. I think you will enjoy it. Be safe. Be smart. Please be kind to one another and read some comics. Read some Superman comics.
Up, and away.
Okay, I'm gonna keep that in.